From the shocking psychedelic boat ride in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory to the Blair Witch's crew constantly spooking the cast, here are some of the times actors were tricked into doing famous scenes. The tunnel scene in Willy Wonka didn't just surprise the viewers. It was one of the most bizarre and unsettling scenes in the iconic film. The psychedelic boat ride through the tunnel is a feast for the eyes with its flashing lights, strange images, and creepy music. But what you probably don't know is that the actors were completely caught off guard once they went into the tunnel. They were seeing it for the first time too. Mel Stuart wanted their reactions to be genuine, so he kept it a secret. The ride started pretty innocently as Wonka, played by Gene Wilder, takes the kids on a tour of the factory. But as they go into the tunnel, the mood turns dark and the boat speeds up. The images on the wall become more intense and the music becomes more ominous. As the actors were introduced to their surroundings, the camera kept closing up on their faces, and every expression, all the fear and confusion the characters showed, even their screams, were all real. I'm not surprised that they were caught off guard by this scene. The entire film is a whimsical kid's story, and the ride into the tunnel is anything but that. It was necessary to include it in the film though, since it added a layer of depth and darkness to the story. And now, it's hard to imagine the film without it. What made it so iconic was the way the characters reacted, and the actor's performance during Wonka's crazy dialogue. If Stewart hadn't kept it a secret, the scene would have never gotten so famous.
Wonka, does it go far enough? Quite right, sir. Stop the boat.
However, it seems like this trick is every director's favorite way to create iconic scenes. Ridley Scott terrified the cast in Alien just as much as the audience. This one is up there in the top 10 most shocking and memorable moments in cinema history. Yes, I'm talking about the chest-bursting scene, where John Hurt's character appears to be suffering from a severe stomachache, when suddenly, an alien creature bursts out of his chest, spraying blood and gore everywhere. It's an unforgettable moment for anyone who watches the film. But what you probably don't know is that the cast felt pretty much the same when they were shooting the scene. They had no idea about what was going to happen. Scott had intentionally kept the details of the scene a secret from the actors, so that their reactions would be genuine. They were prepared for something shocking, but never in their wildest dreams did they imagine they'd see an alien bursting out of Hurt's chest. So when it did happen, their screams of terror were 100% real. The scene itself is a masterclass in tension and horror, and the fact that the actors' reactions are genuine only adds to the power of it. When it comes to horror films, the cast's emotions and expressions matter the most. That's why the crew of the Blair Witch Project made sure the cast was on edge the entire time. How did a low-budget horror movie become the face of its genre? The found footage style of filming with shaky camera work was meant to create realism that scared the living daylights out of viewers. But that's not all. Seeing the terror on the cast's faces is what made the entire film so believable and scary. And surprise, surprise, the director's crew worked hard to make sure that would be the case. It wasn't enough for the cast to act like they were terrified. They had to feel it. The crew took it upon themselves to create an environment so spooky that the cast was scared while they were shooting. They would intentionally make noises and move objects around the campsite at night to creep the actors out. Their reactions to these events were captured on film and used in the final cut of the movie. The fact that the actors were constantly on edge and unsure of what was real and what was staged created that essential fear factor. And if you notice something, it's usually the emotion of terror that has to be genuine. Even for a great actor like Alan Rickman. He did Die Hard, but only because he was tricked into it. This movie is so iconic that even those who don't like the genre love the film. It's known for its intense sequences and unforgettable performances, and one of its most memorable moments didn't require acting. That's when Rickman's character, Hans Gruber, falls from a building to his death. His reaction during this scene was essential for the impact. As you already know, There's no better way to get a genuine reaction than tricking the actor into believing it's real. In the scene, he was supposed to be lowered down by a stuntman and then dropped from a height of about 20 feet onto an airbag. Instead of going with that technique, director John McTiernan decided to drop Rickman himself, without warning him beforehand. As a result, the actor's look of surprise and fear as he falls to his death is genuine. The celebrated thespian wasn't injured during the fall, but the sudden drop got the reaction that was needed for the shot. Eventually, the scene became one of the most iconic moments in the movie, and is often cited as one of the best action movie deaths of all time, which makes this fact all the more enjoyable. But this isn't the only action film that required tricking the actor. Darth Vader himself was tricked into giving the perfect performance. In the final chapter of the prequel trilogy of the Star Wars franchise, Revenge of the Sith, Darth Vader's most iconic scene takes place. The character makes his full transformation from Anakin Skywalker to the Sith Lord we all know. But this transformation was aided by George Lucas's secret trick. He added weight to the character's costume during filming and didn't inform Hayden Christensen. The weight was meant to make the movements of the actor appear more slow and difficult, as if he was struggling to move under the weight of the suit. This was meant to reflect the physical and emotional toll that Anakin's transformation to Darth Vader had taken on him. The actor was surprised by how difficult it was to move around in the suit, and how much effort it took him to perform the actions required for the role. But Vader's slow and heavy movements made the impact of his transformation that much stronger. So Lucas's decision paid off in the end though. But not all such decisions end so well. Sharon Tate never agreed to the scene that changed her life. Basic Instinct is famous for its provocative and controversial scenes, especially those involving Sharon Stone. While her character, Catherine Trammell, is being interrogated by the police, she crosses and uncrosses her legs to reveal that she's not wearing any underwear. The actress herself had no idea that it would show up on camera. She was told by director Paul Verhoeven that the camera wouldn't capture anything explicit. But when the film was released, the scene was uncensored and showed her genitals. Seeing as it was released in the 90s, it caused a lot of controversy. And she was criticized a lot, because no one knew that she had been exploited by the director. The scene itself and the backlash nearly broke her and showed the dark side of Hollywood. That's all about how actors were tricked into doing famous scenes by directors.